Hi, it's Dale. Today we're going to be sizing the fuses on Big Max, the 1955 Studebaker. The fuses are way too large, at least on part of the circuits in this thing. Has a haywire wiring harness, which seems to be a very good quality. I've never used one before, but it looks good. So we're going to go in and measure the amperage on each circuit and determine by the amperage of the switch that is operating this of what size fuse to go with. So with that, let's get started. So the truck runs 4 lights, 2 on each side. Both lights are identical. They do tail lights and they also do brake and turn. So they're dual filament bulb. They're an 1157. So one filament does tail lights, one filament does the turn signal and the brake lights. So I'll go up here to the fuse box, which is under hood. Say this is a Haywire is who manufactures this one. And we are going to look at this circuit right here, which is the brake lights. Now I know for a fact 25 is way too much for this circuit. So one of the reasons I know that is because this is your brake light switch, and all of these that I've ever seen are all rated at 20 amps. Doesn't really matter the design, except for there is one design that has screws that come in from the front side of it for eyelets. If you got one of those, you want to get rid of that and get a different one, because generally, at least all of them I've seen of those are for power sports like an ATV or side-by-side, and they only carry 4.5 amps. So this is a 20 amp. So we definitely, if we had 25 amp and we have an overload on our system, it would put too much amperage against this and we'd have failure. So with that, we're going to take my tester here and we're going to turn the taillights on and see how much amperage that they are pulling, and you can see that all 4 lights are on and it is pulling 3.4. We'll let up on that, turn them back on. Yep, it just stays right there. Sometimes you have where it pulls a little bit more than that when they initially turn on and then it comes down. But basically 3.5 amps is what all 4 lights are pulling. So I know now that I can definitely get rid of this 25 amp fuse, and I'm going to replace it with a 15. Now, I really don't want to go to 20 because maximum load on that switch is 20. Should we get something that would overload it? Overload I've seen a few times where the element for the brake turn burns off in the bulb and burns itself onto the element for the taillights, and then you kind of have a back feed through that, and you can get considerable amount of amperage through that. So you want something that'll pop that fuse before it overloads our switch. So 15 amp would be perfect. And the reason I wouldn't want to go any smaller than that, because this is a truck, has a trailer hitch and a 7-prong connector. So they're going to put a good possibility at some point to have a trailer on it. And that is going to give us another, who knows, 5, 6, 7 amps. And if we put a 10 in there, we'd be putting ourselves at the maximum amount, which is not good. So 15 is the perfect size for that. So I'm going to size that up. I'll come back and do a test for the blower motor, which is right here, and we're going to do it from the fuse box, and I'll show you how to do that. So I went ahead and put my 15 amp in for the brake lights right there. I've got my fuse pulled for the heater. Had a 10 amp in there. I feel like that's a little light, but we'll see how much that heater's pulling. It's a brand new heater motor, so it's probably gonna, my guess, pull 4 to 5 amps, somewhere in there. I've got it on high, so that I can turn it on right there. Yeah, and actually lower than I thought it was. See, we're bouncing around there about, whoops, I just turned it off. There we go. Yeah, we could call it 3.5 amps is what it's pulling. Now, the switch itself is rated at 40 amps, so we don't need to worry about overloading on that. And as that motor starts to age, it will pull more amperage as the armature and the brushes wear. So I could probably get away with that 10, but I think I'd feel more comfortable going with 15. What happens when that motor gets a little age on it, and the armature gets a little bit corroded, you know, with how they kind of turn black. They pull more amperage, especially on startup. So we might be pushing that limit at some point. So 15 amp, we got a 35 amp rated switch. We've got good heavy wiring going through the whole thing. We're good to go. So I'm going to put a 15 in that one. So now I'm just going to go through, off video with the rest of these and go through everything and test it. The one I was a little concerned about is they had a 15 in with the turn signals. I'm thinking that probably should be at 20. The switch is GM switch is rated at 25 amps, so we'd be safe there. And I'll just do the rest of these. I had the cover off of my relay for my cooling fans because I was getting ready to test that, and I can just switch the fan on by pushing on it here rather than having to go down to the engine and ground that out. So that's the only reason I got that apart. So with that, I think that pretty well covers it. I am going to do a video using this particular tool that I got and how to size out, if you're building a car from scratch, how to size out each circuit, and we'll look at that as well. So thanks for watching. Have a blessed day.